Hey everybody, you're watching Midlife and Nailing It. This is Leslie. Welcome to my channel. Today I have for you my 4 genres for book series. I film one of these every month about this time in the month. If you could please hit my subscribe button and notification bell, I'd greatly appreciate it. It helps my channel out. So let's go ahead and get started. Hey everybody, so today is another installment in my series, 4 genres for books. Last month, I did not do a 4 genre for book video for you. Instead, I did some book recommendations with activities for kids. I'll go ahead and put that in my description box below. So having said that, we're back to our regular series. 4 genres for book. I am putting a teeny tiny twist on things. I wanted to show you the books that I've actually read during this quarantine or plan on reading in the next week or two here. So there is 2 books that I've already read, and then there is 2 books that I'm going to read. The first book I want to talk to you about is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, and this is one of my all-time favorite books, I think. I really do. I haven't read as good of a book as that is Where the Crawdads Sing in so very long. It was so welcomed. I loved everything about it. I highly recommend it. So it's like, it's a whodunit that's going on, but it's so much more complex than that. It's sort of a coming of age book. It's sort of I saw someone put that it's a celebration of nature, and I couldn't agree more. It's lovely, like not in a boring way. It is just exquisite the way that that's going on at the same time. It's also a survival story of somebody that was totally mistreated growing up, and it'll make you upset that way. It really will. And then there's a little love story going on. The love story isn't necessarily a pretty love story, but it is a love story. It's an interesting love story. Very uniquely written. Not a story that's been told over and over again, not in this way anyways. The setting is unique. It is so unique, which makes it just lovely. Also, there is a huge twist at the end that I thought for a minute could be coming, and then I'm like, no, like it left you guessing, and then at the end you're like, oh! So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Okay, so moving right along. So the book that I am actually almost finished with, I'm in the last few chapters, is the Spoon River Anthology. And I actually read this 102 years ago when I was in high school, and I loved it then. And then it popped into my head the other day, and I'm like, I want to reread that, because some of the things I read back then, I'll reread, and it's almost like reading the book again. And then it's interesting because I see it through adult eyes, and I feel like I get a lot more out of the book than I did when I first read it. So, Spoon River Anthology by Edgar, oh my gosh, Edgar Lee Majors. This book was wrote a long time ago. I think around 1914, 15, I could look it up, but I'll show you a picture of the book cover. Here's the picture of the book cover. But it is still so very entertaining. Now, if you've ever seen the play or you've read the play, Our Town, it reminds me a little bit of that. It's set up similarly in that it's a town, Spoon River, and then people are talking to you from beyond the grave, from the cemetery, right? Every character has their own little section in the book. It's a small section. It's like, this would be considered probably a poetry book. Edgar Lee Majors was a playwright, so it makes sense that it's reminding me of Our Town a little bit. The difference being, this is a little more risque. I don't know that we'd consider it necessarily risque for today's day and age, but you can see it in there. Like, there's some drama and soap opera-ness going on up in there. So the cool thing about it, it's a collection of free verse poems, and each poem, even though when you think of poems, I know you're thinking of rhymes and maybe it's written weird. No, it's kind of like a narrative, like a little narrative that the person is telling you that is dead. And so each one is told a little differently, which makes it kind of cool, because then it feels like it's coming from each person, and it might be short and sweet, it might be a little bit longer, but they delve into little details of their lives and the way that they died and the perspective, like what was really going on in their heads. And then also some of the people out one another. So they're all kind of connected. Like one of the people might be a prostitute. The other one might be a politician. Someone else joined the circus. There were widows and widowers and people that got drunk and died. People that died super young. There's little boys and girls, but they're all connected, and like you're like, oh my gosh, like it's pretty neat. It's pretty cool. And then it's cool as you're reading, you're like, wait a minute, they mentioned that character here. And so then you go back and look at that one and you're like, oh my gosh, the scandal. So yeah, so it's pretty awesome. And then it's also kind of funny, like the ways that they died. They're not just like simple ways, like everybody died uniquely, like, and the way it's written, sometimes it doesn't come right out and say the things. So you got to kind of read between the lines, and that's because of the day and age it was, because they certainly weren't all blunt about risque type things and behaviors. So give that one a whirl. That's definitely a good book for escapism right now, for sure. All these books are really. Okay, so now we've gotten to the two books that I have not read yet, and I'm super excited to read. I actually got both of these books from thriftbooks.com, and I highly recommend using thriftbooks.com. Most of the books are between like $3 and $5. The postage is hardly anything. They get to you so super fast. Even like right now, like I ordered some books and I'm like, I don't know if I'll get those during this quarantine anytime soon. I did. I got them like right away. And my daughter ordered some books, and so she got them right away as well. So the first book that I got was, I was told There Would Be Cake by Sloane Crosley. I had to look at her last name. That's why. Look at my nails, you guys. They're so bad. I've got this stuff coming to do them myself. Anyways, and I've been waiting on that a little while. I'll do a video on that as well. But yeah, so I got this book, and this has actually been on the New York Times bestsellers, and this is supposedly a collection of essays, and I believe they're all written by Sloane Crosley. So this book is supposed to be super funny. It's made all kinds of my favorite lists to refer to when I'm trying to find a book that I may want to read. And so I'm going to go ahead and give it a whirl. When I was researching this book, I was seeing a lot of words like, let's see, I'm going to read some of them. Outrageous, humor, comedic, hilarity, hilarious, you know, stuff like that is what people were writing about it. They were writing about how witty it was. Yeah, so I wanted something lighthearted during this time, and actually, I've been kind of like sad and angry about things. I won't go into details why, because we're not going to get political all up in here. We're not. It's so tempting. But I wanted to find something lighthearted, escapism, that sort of thing. Now, I don't know if I'm in the mindset right now to read this, but maybe in a couple days I will be, because I'm not thinking a whole lot of things are funny right now, you guys. Like, and I am a sarcastic, witty human being. Like, I have had a real hard time this last week with things. So, my mentality when I ordered this book was I could use something to laugh at and escape with. And I'm hoping I get back to that really soon. So yeah, so this book, I'm hoping to make me laugh when I do read it. This is Death on the Nile by, of course, Agatha Christie, which if you've watched any of these before, you know that I really enjoy Agatha Christie. When I'm just wanting to kind of chill and escape, or I'm on a beach or something, she is my go-to read. And believe it or not, I have never read Death on the Nile. I know, I've never read it. That's crazy, because it's supposed to be, it's one of her most popular. So I don't know why I haven't read it yet, but I haven't. And if you just want like a little short read that's well written and wonderful, she is a good one. She's a go-to author, in my opinion. And of course, in Death of the Nile, if you've read any Agatha Christie books, the main character in here is Detective Perrault. So I am excited about that because any book I've read with him in it, I am thoroughly amused. So he was the detective in Murder on the Orient Express. And if you haven't read that one's up there. That's probably my second favorite by her. So I'm hoping maybe this will be, I don't know, a lot of people over the years have loved this one. I hope that these give you some ideas of what you could be reading during quarantine. I mentioned before thriftbooks.com. I'm going to include a link to them in my description box below. And then also my first two books, the reason why I didn't show you the actual books is because I have currently been using audible.com. Now, a few years back, my husband and I joined a book club, and so we would have campfires, and for quite a few months, we would listen to the book on audible.com. Such a happy memory for me, and I just found that so enjoyable. But then we didn't anymore because if I'm going to read a book, I read a book. Well, since I am midlife and nailing it, you must know that these really cool glasses are actually bifocals. I mean, my eyesight sucks anyways, but these are bifocals. So moral of the story is I love reading at night. It's my favorite time to read. And when I do that, I am having a heck of a time. I just have been the last year or two. I have been using Audible for that reason. And trust me, guys, I've got plenty, I've met my quota of reading. I really have. So even though some people may frown upon that I do audible.com, don't know what to tell you. Maybe when your eyesight gets whoopity-doo, you'll understand why. Yeah, and there's something calming about it, especially if it's somebody with a nice voice, and it helps you kind of escape. It helps you unwind from the day, and I really enjoy that. So I highly recommend them. Of course, a link to audible.com will be in my description box below as well. Having said that, I hope everyone's hanging in there. We're all going to get through this. Please, try to do the things that keep you calm. And reading is a great escape. It really is, especially if you've got a good book. I recommend all these books that I've mentioned, even the two that I haven't read yet. If I know one thing for sure about myself, I research the heck out of stuff, so I usually end up with a pretty good book. I mean, a decent one. So go ahead and check these titles out, or maybe go to thriftbooks.com and look for some books to get, or do Audible. Do what you got to do to get through this time, guys. Okay, guys, so happy reading, and make sure you look for another installment in this series, 4 Genres, 4 Books, next month, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.